Everyone loves Chumlee from Pawn Stars, and he's been through a lot of ups and downs, but his most recent legal fight shocked everyone. How could the exciting turn of events for the well-known TV star happen? People know Austin Lee Russell as Chumlee from the popular reality TV show Pawn Stars. He is known for having a great sense of humor, charm, and a good eye for unique items. Even though Chumlee joined the show 5 years into its successful run, his rise to fame and wealth is a testament to his hard work and unique personality. Having grown up in Las Vegas, Nevada, Chumlee had a nickname that would stick with him for the rest of his career. His father named him Chumlee as a reference to a cartoon character named Tennessee Tuxedo's walrus sidekick. From a very young age, Chumlee's friendly personality and quick wit made everyone like him. This silly name stuck with him as an adult and eventually became his Pawn Stars character. In 2009, History Channel launched Pawn Stars, a show that followed the daily operations of Rick Harrison's gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas. This is where Chumlee first became famous on TV. At first, Chumlee worked behind the counter, but his friendly nature and ability to make people laugh quickly got him a job in front of the camera. Even though he joined the show late, his role changed a lot. Because he is close with Rick Harrison and Harrison treats him like a son, he makes $1,000 a show. He quickly used his newfound fame to start a number of businesses and build up his own collections. He is now worth about $5 million thanks to his love of old cars, which includes a Rolls-Royce Phantom and a Cadillac Escalade, and a large collection of more than 200 types of shoes. Chumlee is interested in many things besides material things. His hobbies include pinball machines, video games, and Pokemon cards, which show his varied tastes and desire to be successful. But there have been some hard times along Chumlee's path to fame. People who are into antiques and collectibles have criticized him for buying fake things like a Gibson guitar that wasn't what it seemed to be. Even with these setbacks, Chumlee's humility and desire to learn from his mistakes have won him fans all over the world. His ability to laugh at himself and accept his flaws has made him a reality TV star that people can relate to. Chumlee can find hidden gems in more places than just junk shops. He also knows a lot about old sneakers and other items. Chumlee is famous for being able to tell the difference between real Jordans and fakes in seconds. He is also very good at identifying rare bicycles and samurai swords. In a famous Pawn Stars show, Chumlee sold 3 samurai swords for $3,800, not knowing that they were worth more than $13,000. This deal caught everyone's attention because it showed how happy he was and how good he was at making trades that made money. His work outside of Pawn Stars has also been noteworthy. In the 8th season of the show, Chumlee spent $8,700 on a Baudouin Spacelander bike that was worth about $20,000. This showed how much he loves rare and expensive things. People were amazed by his wide range of tastes and risky business choices after this move. Chumlee's business sense shows through at his candy shop, which is not related to TV. He opened a store with his brother Sage Russell that sold retro treats like candy cigarettes and Razzles. The store catered to both his own tastes and the needs of customers. His candy shop is a neighborhood favorite that draws people from near and far because he is an entrepreneur and knows what people want. Chumlee talked about wanting to do more than just Pawn Stars when he talked about the idea of a spin-off show about his candy business. He is still dedicated to the show that made him famous, and he knows that both have their difficulties and benefits. Even though there were setbacks, like when Rick Harrison closed the business next door, Chumlee's shop continued to do well thanks to its great position and Chumlee's lasting popularity. Chumlee became famous on Pawn Stars and Freedom. When he was not on reality TV, his home in Las Vegas became the center of a police probe that would change how people saw him. The peace in Chumlee's life was broken in March 2016 when Las Vegas cops searched his home without a warrant. At first connected to a claim of sexual assault, the search led to a shocking finding: a stash of drugs and guns, pot, methamphetamine, and a lot of guns, including pistols, revolvers, rifles, and shotguns, some of which were kept in a safe place in his home, were taken away. The police report gave a very clear picture of what they found in different rooms, including the famous Chum Room that had a dance pole. Police found drug tools and money that had drug residue on it, which painted a very different picture of him than the one he played on TV. The fact that Chumlee didn't want to open his safe at first showed how serious the situation was. He said it had personal things in it, like guns and marijuana for personal use, which is against the law because drug users aren't allowed to have guns. Because of this stance, the police were able to seize the drugs and weapons, which set the stage for a long legal fight. Chumlee started a legal journey that would change the way people think about him in public. He was facing charges of drug crimes and criminal gun possession. David Chesnoff, his lawyer, put up a strong case right away. After Chumlee was arrested, the media paid even more attention to him and looked at every part of his personal and work life. The plea bargain was a turning point. It was a chance in rough seas to choose to plead guilty to lesser charges, such as felony drug possession and misdemeanor weapon possession. Chumlee tried to cut down on the possibility of going to jail. The agreement required him to go on probation, get counseling, and give up the guns that had been seized. This was a very important step in his quest for accountability and to fix his image. Chumlee wasn't the only Pawn Stars cast member who got into trouble. People also paid attention to Corey "Big Os" Harrison's judicial problems. Corey got into trouble in 2011 after a fight at Big Bear Lake, California's Murray's Saloon and Eatery. Late one Sunday night, Corey and another customer got into a more heated fight. A security guard and a sheriff's officer saw the fight and came to help. The officer and the guard were both pushed by Corey when they tried to help. Because of this outburst, he was taken to the Big Bear Lake jail and charged with battery and fighting arrest. He was locked up for a while to get sober before being let go. Later, Corey's lawyer said that the cops asked Corey to say sorry, but he refused because he thought he hadn't done anything wrong. The bad things for Corey didn't end there, though. Finally, in 2021, he was in the news again, this time for damaging a hired RV. A rental platform called RV Share helped Corey rent a 37-foot RV from William Villafane. Corey planned to work from the RV while he was on a 3-day trip through the California desert. Things went badly, though, because when Corey returned the RV 6 days later, it was in terrible shape. Villafane, the owner of the RV, was shocked when he saw how bad it was. The RV's body was broken, the roof was gone, and the inside was a mess. You could see eggs broken on the floor in pictures. There are vodka bottles and sand all over the place. There were pulled-out wires and dirty towels on the ground. Villafane thinks the cost of fixing the damage will be between $20,000 and $30,000. Villafane talked about what happened and said that he hadn't recognized Corey at first when he brought the RV. Everyone was nice to Corey, and it was easy to sign the rental deal. Trouble began, though, when Corey's helper told Villafane that they wouldn't be able to return the RV on time. After a few days, Villafane was told that the RV had been in an accident with an ATV. The RV was a mess when it finally got back to Villafane's storage site. Villafane tried to get Corey to pay for the damage, but Corey wouldn't. RV Share's insurance had run out, and Corey claimed that he was the one who did it. It was clear that Villafane was angry as he talked about how the event made him have to cancel 10 reservations, which had a big effect on his business, which was already having a hard time because of COVID-19. While Chumlee and Corey were in trouble with the law, Rick's business at the pawn shop caused him a lot of problems. One of Rick's biggest mistakes happened during a deal for diamonds that seemed simple. A man in a sharp suit walked into the pawn shop with what looked like a bunch of expensive diamonds. Rick did a careful examination because he had done this before. It was the right things to ask him: where the gems came from, how they were got, and they wanted proof that they had been bought. The seller gave believable answers and papers that looked like they were real. Rick paid more than $40,000 for the diamonds because he was sure of the deal. After a few days, though, the cops came to the pawn shop with bad news. The diamonds were said to have been stolen. The receipts and answers that looked like they were real were part of a clever scam. The diamonds were taken by the police and then given back to their original owner. These events cost Rick and the pawn shop a lot of money. They lost all $40,000. Rick remembered this event as one of the biggest busts in the history of the shop. Learned the hard way how dangerous it can be to deal in high-stakes pawns. Things got worse for Rick with stolen goods, though. A man named Ryan walked into the shop with a shekel of tire, which was another event that stood out. This silver coin, which was made in Lebanon between 130 BC and 79 AD, was very important historically. Ryan said that the coin might be one of the 30 pieces of silver that the Bible says were given to Judas Iscariot for betraying Jesus Christ. This made the story even more interesting. Even though this unbelievable claim couldn't be proven, the coin's possible value was too good to pass up. Rick chose to buy the shekel of tire for $1,600, which he thought was a fair price for something that might have historical value. Not long after the deal, though, the sheriff came into the shop with more bad news. The coin had been stolen before it got to Ryan, but not by him. The pawn shop was lucky because they could keep the coin because the insurance paid out. The story didn't end there, though. When Rick looked more closely, he saw that Ryan had cleaned the coin, which made it worth a lot less. When it was first made, the tire shekel would have been worth about $1,200. The clean made it less valuable. That is, Rick paid about $400 too much. This exchange, which was complicated by history and bad money sense, was another one in the pawn shop's long history of dealing with stolen goods. But not all the trouble happened outside of the gold and silver swap shop. Some of the worst mistakes were made in the shop, and Chumlee was often the cause of these problems. The most valuable and fragile things are kept in the back room of the gold and silver pawn shop. It's very important to be very careful with these things, but Chumlee didn't always take this duty seriously. His careless and sloppy behavior caused him to make some expensive mistakes that made the Harrisons angry. A $20,000 guitar was involved in one of the most important events. Chumlee was in charge of the storage area, but he didn't secure the guitar. Instead, he leant it against a stand. The guitar had to fall, and when it did, it broke beyond repair. The shop had to pay the customer $20,000 to fix the damage when the customer came back for the guitar. It cost them money and hurt their image because of what happened. It's clear why Rick and the team were mad. They told Chumlee many times how important it was to be careful with things, but his fun nature often got the best of him. A number of times, security cameras got him messing with expensive things. Rick was always annoyed by Chumlee's pranks, and it was hard for him to find a balance between how important Chumlee was to the show and how to run a successful business. There were more than 1 or 2 times when Chumlee behaved badly in the bathroom. A number of times his lack of care caused things to get broken. One time he broke an old vase by throwing a football around in the storage area. Another time he tipped over a rare and expensive picture, leaving damage that could not be fixed. It cost the shop money each time, and they had to deal with angry customers. These accidents in the back room brought to light a big problem for the pawn shop. People who brought their things to gold and silver expected them to be treated with care. Trust was broken by things like these. People might not trust the shop with valuable things if word got out. This could hurt their business a lot. Even with these problems, Rick kept Chumlee on the team. The History Channel liked having Chumlee on the show, and even though it cost a lot, his pranks were fun to watch. Rick knew that firing Chumlee could change the way Pawn Stars worked, which is why it was so popular. But this meant that they had to find a way to make Chumlee less dangerous. A vintage motorbike was involved in one mistake that cost a lot of money. Since Chumlee wasn't being watched, he chose to take it for a ride around the backlot. Many people lost their expensive bikes when they fell over. The bikes were badly damaged. The fixed costs were paid for by the shop, which was another mistake Chumlee made in the back room. Rick had a hard time keeping his cool, but he knew that having Chumlee on the show was very helpful. Fans loved how strange and funny Chumlee was, even though he made Rick and the team crazy. Even though Chumlee's pranks in the back room were funny, the gold and silver pawn shop had even bigger problems with its transactions. There were mistakes that cost a lot of money and shady business going on. A beautiful set of gold coins was involved in one of the most disputed events. She started the story when she walked into the pawn shop while they were shooting. "I'm willing to sell some very valuable gold coins. It looked like an easy deal. The shop paid over $10,000. She gave them the coins and everyone was happy." But things weren't easy at all. Rick and his team didn't know that the coins were stolen. Jennifer took the coins from her uncle, who found out right away and called the cops. Jennifer was jailed once the police got involved, and her uncle told her to give back his coins. This quickly turned into a problem for the pawn shop in terms of the law. The most important issue? The coins were gone. In order to get the most money out of them, Rick had already chosen to melt them down. This is common in the pawn business, but it was a big deal in this case. Most of the time, laws say that stolen property can't be thrown away, but gold coins are an exception. The pawn shop was in a tough spot because of this exception. The uncles claimed that the coins were worth more than $50,000 added to the confusion. Rick and his team didn't agree with this estimate and said it was too high. Even so, the whole thing cost them a lot of money and hurt their image. The pawn shop couldn't give the uncle's coins back, and his attempt to sue failed because of the laws that were in place to protect people. Even though the pawn shop did everything by the book, it ended up looking very bad. Even with the problems, Chumlee's rise to fame has not been a boring one. Besides his part on Pawn Stars, he was in a lot of popular shows like American Restoration, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and Live with Kelly and Ryan. These shows made him even more well-known in pop culture. Once more, Chumlee's personal life got a lot of attention in 2022. Like Corey Harrison's 100-pound loss in 2014, his journey to lose weight became a big deal for fans. Because of this, Chumlee was able to start his own business and sell t-shirts with his own drawings on them. This business effort paid off, giving him another way to make money. Chumlee didn't stop there. He spent $105,000 to buy half of Rick Harrison's shares in the pawn shop, showing that he was serious about growing his business interests. Even though he had legal problems in 2016, his image with viewers stayed mostly the same. His commitment to the show and efforts to interact with fans were big parts of why he stayed famous. Early in 2019, Chumlee made news again when he sold his Las Vegas home for almost $1.375 million, which was a big jump from the $1.1 million he paid for it in 2012. The property, which had a large house in his famous Chum Chum room, showed off his personal style and smart investment choices. Chumlee also tried music, especially hip-hop, which gave him another way to express himself and make money. People were eager to see his DJ sets at places like Las Vegas's Gold Spike Day Club, where he mixed music and comedy in a way that no one else did. Chumlee's journey from reality TV star to successful businessman in many areas shows how strong and determined he is. Whether it's through business projects, real estate investments, or DJ sets, Chumlee keeps growing and adapting to the entertainment and business worlds, which are always changing.